Good morning. You see that? Do you see it? Oh, it's sunshine. It's so nice. It's going to be a nice day. We gotta do a little getting stuff ready for when it's time to go plant, which it's not yet, but we'll get there. So this shuttle here is zinc. We've been adding into our 2x2 starter, and that shuttle is almost empty. I have another one. So we're gonna get it out and combine them and get one of them rinsed out so that that's ready to go. So we've had some leaks, right? Have you guys seen this? Have I showed you this? So I don't know how well it shows up, but this is the one that I just took out. This is the replacement that's thicker. Yeah, you can see that. So it goes down in there and helps seal it up. We'll put this one in and hopefully that seals up better. Here's our other shuttle of zinc. There's not a ton in there. We don't have that many acres left. It just wouldn't all fit in one. So that was the overflow, I guess, into the other one. We're just gonna dump that into there. So I just got that hose on. We're gonna get it in the hole in the top and open the valve and let it empty. We will rinse it with some water, but we'll just put that into my tank going into the inductor tank there, so that we don't have to worry about diluting the zinc down and then throwing our measurements off. Break the seal. Alright, there we go. I get my knife out to cut it. And yeah. Now that I see how this works, it's not leaking out my fitting like I thought. It's leaking out the dang threaded thing. This stupid shuttles have these threads with an adapter on them. That's where it's leaking from. It wasn't leaking from my gasket. That's a terrible design. Oh, look at that. Okay, we got that empty, so that shuttle's got all of our zinc in it. We're going to rinse this out, take the cap off, and I'm just going to let it flush into there, like I was saying. So there shouldn't be anything in there, really. A little bit in the corner, maybe. But that one, they clean out. They drain really well. These shuttles drain really well. All right, that is cleaned up and empty and good, so we can take that shuttle, set it over there with our empties. I replaced gaskets in those two cam lock fittings on our pump right there, because they had both been leaking, especially the top one, but both of them. And the old ones here, I don't know how well you guys can see it, but they're definitely a pretty big groove or indent worn in them. Those were wore out. That's why they were leaking. So hopefully it definitely tightened them up. Hopefully that solves our leak issues there for a while at least. And yeah, I think we're good to go. We'll get this out of here, and yeah, I think we're good. Okay, I think we are good out here. I moved my solar battery charger to this battery. That's the one that powers my pumps for my chemical totes, or fertilizer totes, zinc and carbon. So we should be good there. We've got, that zinc rinse 8 stuff in there. We'll suck that into the planter tanks when we fill that up. I got a half a jug of Xyway here. We've got some upward stuff that we were using in our starter. I got a bunch of that extra. I'll have to figure out what we're going to do with it. I didn't get it on where all it was supposed to go, so that's okay. Yeah, all right. And it's almost warm enough that I can't wear a jacket anymore. Like it's warming up. It's good stuff. All good things. Ground's drying off on top. Let's see, what time is it? 9:45. I'm trying to wait for stuff to dry off, get the dew off the ground so I can mow lawn, and then we can go work down there a little bit. And then later this afternoon, we'll go check some corn and beans. Hopefully see some spiking through. Okay, I've got some trash I need to haul back to the woods. I'm gonna do that and grab our torch so I can start a fire. One of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about, I've been mentioning how we're kind of shopping for a forklift a little bit. I've gotten lots of comments about why we don't have a skid steer, and I know you guys see skid steers on other farm YouTube channels that they use as a forklift. And while a skid steer is much more versatile than a forklift, it does a lot of jobs doing the job of a forklift is one that it does, but it doesn't do it well. And, well, it's also 4 times as much money, right? So we can buy a forklift. We're hoping for in the 20,000 range, although they're a little more expensive than that for the ones that we're finding. A good skid steer, even a used one, is going to be well over 50, if not more than that, probably. And while it would be nice to have, we don't have a ton of need for one. So, I would never buy a skid steer to replace a forklift. If I had a skid steer with forks and could use it for that, it may get used for that in occasions. But a forklift is much more maneuverable, much more versatile for jobs that a forklift does. And so one is not a substitute for the other in my mind. But yeah, a skid steer would be nice. We don't have that direct need. We have a backhoe and we have a forklift. So that field right out there is where we started planting corn, April 12th. You can see it's still wet on top, a little bit muddy, but drying out in the field there a little bit, somewhat. So I am hoping this afternoon it'll be dry on top all the way across. We can walk out there without worrying about getting any mud on our shoes and stuff. And maybe we'll start seeing some corn poking, or at least getting really close. The sun today is going to help. It's going to warm the ground up and keep everything moving a little bit. I have been kind of tracking GDUs, growing degree days, since planting, and as of yesterday we were sitting at like 80 since we planted. It takes about 130 to get corn out of the ground, so we're not there yet. But I also think this corn's going to come up a little sooner than that because our ground temperature was so warm, and that's not really accounted for in growing degree days when the air temperature is cooler. So I don't know. We will see. We'll go check it later. Also interesting to note that the other side of the lane over here, where we have not done the tillage yet, is mostly dry on top already. It's not fully, but mostly, compared to this side that's planted and was already worked down. So why is that? Well, it comes down to soil consistency. So that was our ripped last fall. We ran our 2730 ripper through it, and that's kind of how we left. But you can see it's uneven, it's clumpy, kind of. There's clods that have melted down over winter. It's just not super consistent as far as the density of the soil. Where this side, we worked it with the field cultivator. We ran our packer down it, so it's nice and smooth and even and level, and you know, it's drying off in between the planter passes before it's drying off in the planter track kind of thing. But this ground here, the top of it could air out a little bit more, where the stuff that we planted or have already worked down, the moisture keeps wicking up from down below, and they're actually drying about the same rate. It's just that moisture keeps moving up where the consistency in the soil is more uniform. Does that make sense? It kind of made sense. Man, I'm struggling with words today. I decided to go for a drive, look around a little bit. This is the first field of soybeans that we planted with the new corn planter. So 30-inch rows. These were planted on, I believe, April 15th. Could have been the 14th, but I think it was the 15th. I'd have to double check that. So not quite 3 weeks ago. There's a ridge up here that's a little sandier. I just thought I'd go check and see if any of these are poking through. I haven't seen any yet. But boy, they got to be getting close. Look at the weeds that are starting to come. All them green, white string things there, that's all weeds. I believe Dad did get this sprayed. There's a bean. So those weeds should die, but they're coming. It broke them off. More, getting more of a rut. Couple days, maybe a day, maybe tomorrow, I don't know. We're getting close. This is one of our irrigation lanes from last year. That's why there's no residue there. Come over here. A lot more residue cover. These may have been planted a little bit deeper because I did them with the corn planter and I was still getting stuff adjusted. Way down there. See them? A long ways to go to get to the surface there. Heck, he's still 1.5 inches below ground. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on stuff. I'm fairly confident we're in good shape, but I am starting to get pretty nervous. The heat and sun over the next couple of days is going to do wonders for us. Like, it's going to make a dramatic difference, but I've been kind of pondering the question the last couple of days of, had I known on April 12th, 13th, 14th what the weather would be the next 3 weeks, would I still have planted? I think I would have done some. So I don't know that I would have changed much. But at that time, you know, it was 70-some degrees out, and you knew it was going to cool down. You didn't know it was going to get as cold as it is consistently for 3 more weeks. Like, at that point, it felt like, we might get 4 or 5 days of temperatures in the 50s or 40s even, and then it'll be back in the 60s. And we have not had that at all. We've had very few days in the 60s, so it is what it is. But if it turns wet, I'm still really happy with our decisions. And if everything comes out of the ground okay, I'm still really happy with our decisions. So we'll look some more this afternoon. I just was killing a little time, was driving around here, seeing what we could see. Okay, well, I came back to the farm, and then I went down and mowed my lawn because that needed to be done. And now I got some grass seed we're going to try and get planted. So we've got this old drag here that we pull behind our four-wheeler. So I'm going to get that out and take it down there, and we're just going to try and drag through some of the spots that are bare, or there's no grass growing, and just get some loose dirt, and then we'll get some seed put on it. Hopefully it'll grow. I don't know. Super easy attachment. Put it in low. Try not to drag rocks everywhere. There we go. So we are going to come out about another 20 feet here from where this edge is to where I planted beans and plant grass in there. I'm not quite ready to fill that in yet because I need to move a little dirt. But there's just these patches like this that I just want to drag across them, fill in these gullies a little bit from when it washed after we seeded it, and try and get some loose dirt to plant into. But right here, we got to pull some dirt out of here farther out into the field so that drains, because right now it's not, there's a ridge right here and we can't have that. Yeah, that's working. There's just a few gullies here from, so if you go back, if you remember last fall, like in September, I have a cousin that works for a landscaping company. I hired him to come out here, and he brought his equipment, had this whole thing all graded off beautifully, planted perfectly with the cedar and everything. And then like 5 hours after he left, we had a unexpected, or at least unexpected in severity, rainstorm that dumped 2+ inches on us in a half an hour. There was water everywhere. It was running everywhere. My driveway was full. I mean, it just washed, and now was a bunch of seed out in the field, and it left some gullies, and it didn't come up real even, and it just, we were so close to having a perfect lawn this spring. But anyway, so we're gonna have to fill in these gullies. This is helping, but we'll have to get some more dirt and drag with the box scraper or something. But you can see how we're stirring up some loose dirt here so that the seed will have something to attach to and get embedded in, and not really tearing out grass from the existing, because I'm dragging right over all of this stuff, and for the most part it's still there. And then you get spots like this where it's just, you know, we're not getting a lot of loose dirt here, but this is what I'm trying to fill in. So we are going to end up with some stones. We'll have to go pick some stones up. You can hear them hitting and whatever. It's fine. Let's go get our seeder. I'm debating whether I should drag it after I seed or not, or just get a roller and try and roll it. Somewhere we have a antique now, but nice shoulder strap mount grass seeder or whatever with a hand crank on the spinner and stuff. I can't find it. Dad didn't answer his phone, so we'll have to use the newfangled version that worked, but this is small. So we're gonna go down and see what we can do. Here's our bag of grass seed. Get this from a neighbor that sells seed, cover crop type stuff. Where do we set that? Close it for now. Sunny Lawn Mix. Yeah, I don't have much shade, so Sunny Lawn Mix it is. I am unfortunately not going to be able to crank this and show you guys. Sorry. Well, this doesn't have a very big spread pattern, but that actually works well for doing these little patches and stuff like this. We're getting pretty good seed coverage. You can see all of them laying there, so it should work as long as we don't get a huge pounding rain, which is not supposed to rain till the weekend, so I'll give it some time, maybe get it germinated and established before it gets washed away. I don't know. We're trying again. All right, well, this is going okay, pretty well, I guess. I have a chemical delivery down there, so we gotta go unload a truck. That shuttle right there, that is a very, very expensive shuttle. That is worth more than any other one of these, probably worth more than most of them combined. Rough numbers, I don't know off the top of my head exact, 45 grand in that shuttle, something like that. Yeah, you think gas is expensive at $3.50 a gallon. Price that out per gallon. It is outrageous, but worth it. That's what we have found. We have tested over and over. So it is a fungicide. That's what it's for. We're going to spray that on our corn at VT and also on our beans at R3. And year after year, especially on the beans now, and now with the tar spot we get in our corn, that fungicide pays big time, even at 45 grand a shuttle. Ah, look what I found. The antique old hand crank spinner. Yeah, Dad called me back and told me where it was. The bag's getting to be in sort of rough shape, but Cyclone Cedar Sower, made in Urbana, Indiana. We're gonna use this now. It's much faster. All right, well, we filled in the thin spots. Some of it grew really well. Other spots not so much, so hopefully that greens it up a little bit. I did not use the whole bag of seed. Like I said, we're gonna have to plant some more on the south line there later after I get some more dirt work done, but we're probably gonna end up needing another bag of grass seed anyway at that point, so is what it is. All right, you guys ready to go check some fields? Gotta have my hand on the brake. We're taking some flags with us because we have quite a few different trials and side-by-sides and stuff that I would like to mark out and have stakes or flags on the brake so I know exactly where they're at. And we can scout them easier, and we can spray them when we need to split sprays better. So we're gonna go put some of those in. First one's right across the road in the bean field. All right, so this is a bean field planted with the corn planter, 30-inch rows. I'd have to look up the planting date, but I think it was the second week that we were in the fields there. And in part of this field right here in the middle, there's like 18, 20 acres that got that biological planter box treatment, the stuff that we had to put in right there, this biotrinsic, I don't know. It's supposed to help with soybean cyst and nematodes, I believe. It was very difficult to apply, and I don't know how I feel about it. But it's out here, and I need to find the split and put this stake in. Oops, and we're gonna dig and take some soil temperature readings. So I need to look up in the in my John Deere app to see where the split is. I can still see tire tracks from the planter, like right here, here somewhere. One set of tire tracks turns that way, the other one turns that way, and we're in the middle. And so that's how we know where the splits in the planter are, and we'll know where to put this. Right there, that's the split row. I was getting thrown off a little bit because there's a set of sprayer tracks, and the sprayer tracks look like tire tracks or tractor tire tracks, or that's what my mind went to, that like, well, that was the center of the planter. But no, the sprayer straddles guest rows with this planter. You know, with the 40-foot planter, the sprayer was always on every third tractor pass. With the 60-foot planter, it straddles. Like here, this is a sprayer tire track. This is a sprayer tire track. Right in the middle here is the split road. Like that was a planter pass, and that was a planter pass, and that was throwing me off, but we figured it out. So that's where we're in the treated section. I'm going to take this flag, go put it on the other end of the treated section. According to my map, it is right here. There are 7 planter passes between the flag down there and right here, and I can see that tire track goes that way. That tire track goes that way. This is the guest row. Okay, now let's do some digging and stick a thermometer in the ground. Also, there's sprayer tracks right here, so yeah. Well, right there's our bean. They're getting closer to cracking through, but they're not there yet. These were, like I said, these were not the first planted. So I expect some other ones to be a little bit farther along. I'm gonna, if I remember, I want to screenshot the growing degree day calculator so you guys can see. I broke that one off. Darn it. How many growing degree days since we've planted, or since we started planting. But the thing to keep in mind with that is that most of them happened right after we planted. Like, we've gotten very, very few here in the last 2 weeks. Now this one concerns me just a little bit because look how skinny that neck is getting. Right in here, the base of the head, or the cotyledons, the bean. Like, that still has to poke its way out of the ground and flip up and open. And sometimes they get brittle and snap off. We don't like that. So definitely got to keep an eye on stuff. Mostly I think we're okay. The ground is still soft. We're really not, I'm not worried about a crust forming at all. A little bit, but I mean, I don't think the beans are going to have any trouble poking through. They've been in the ground for a long time. The sun really warms up our ground. Can't read it. It says 66. It does, I promise it says that. But it's dark. So I'm happy with the ground temp. It's warming up, and we're not super deep here, but we're, you know, seeding depth or better. So things are moving. All right, now we're in a cornfield. This is a cornfield we planted the second day, day 2. And right here is a variety break. So this is where we're going to do my genetics by environment, by management practices, or trials. Basically, we're going to split part of this, and we're going to say this is the highly managed stuff, double shots of nitrogen or split applications, fungicides, all of that kind of stuff, versus the just standard don't do anything special program. So we have a split planter, 2 different hybrids. Technically, it starts over there, 1 planter pass, but just for consistency, because we switched hybrids and there would have been a little bit here that got planted to what was over there farther. We're going to start it here and then go that way. We'll find that, and then we'll find the middle. We'll throw a flag in the middle so that we can, yeah, just to keep everything straight. So, and then we'll start digging. Right there, and again, technically it goes another pass, but it didn't make it all the way to the other end in that pass. So this is the last full pass all the way through of the 2 split different hybrids. So we're gonna find the middle of the planter where we actually are on the split. And one side, one row will be one variety, one will be the other, and we're gonna dig in both. That would be right here. And see how close they are and if there's any differences. Look at this big long root. Starts right there. I haven't even found the seed yet. Oh, right there's our shoot. 3/4 of an inch from the surface. There's our seed. Okay. Healthy. It looks great. The root's growing. It's getting big. We've got some seminal roots coming off up here. This is, it's coming towards the surface. I don't like how that radical root is growing horizontally. And I don't know if that's just a temperature thing, cold weather, or just the way it started growing, and it's got plenty of moisture, so that's the way it's gonna go. Let's dig up another one and see what we find. Right there. Oh yeah, that one's different. So it was sitting there like that. Oops. And you can see that root in my fingers going down through this dirt. This one's got longer seminal roots on it. Kind of got a crook, but it's fine. It looks good. I feel better about the corn than I do the beans after the last two fields here. That's good. That's good. That's good. All right, let's look at the other one. I disturbed that earthworm, but I found our seed. There's a lot of earthworms in this. So this field was wheat last year. There's a lot of residue. You can see it all here. And we put chicken litter on here. A lot of earthworms. Look at the root on that one. That is awesome. Maybe a little shorter on the shoot, but that could just be this individual seed. I don't know. I think that one looks good too. We don't see the longer seminal roots quite like that other one. I'd have to look in my app to see which one is which, but I was told one of these two hybrids are both 110 day. One of them is a better emerger than the other, and there should be a difference in them. So we'll see. But 64 degrees it says here. Our ground temp is good. One thing that I think people don't account for, we've talked extensively about the risks of planting early, right? But we also know that there's a big reward to it. And I think that a lot of times people get in the sense of, when we plant early, this corn is obviously taking forever to come up. You know, we're at 3 weeks. It was 3 weeks today ago that this was planted. It's not out of the ground yet. And if temperatures keep going the way that they are, the next stuff that we plant, I would expect to be out of the ground in 10 days. You know, so we're looking at half or less the time for the later planted stuff to emerge. And a lot of times you can plant stuff early that may emerge the same time or within a day or two of the later planted stuff, but will have been in the ground a lot longer. And I think what we're going to see this year, and what I am seeing, is while that corn is taking a long time to come up out of the ground, it's not doing nothing. It's growing below the ground. We're getting that long radical root on it. We're starting the seminal roots. Those plants are still 2 weeks ahead or more of the stuff that's going to be planted later. And so while the shoot and the progress towards the surface is slow, it's still developing. That corn is still doing something. It's still establishing itself. It's still getting ahead. And I think I'm really happy with this. I'm really, really happy with what we're seeing out here in the cornfield. So where the four-wheeler's parked over there, we were out in that field looking at that stuff. I walked over here to this field, which is a separate field. This is where we started planting. This was planted approximately 24 hours, not even that much, ahead of the field that we were in before. But it was like 75 degrees that day. Look how much farther along that one is. Look at that. Nice shoot on there, a longer root. We got these seminal roots. Now this is a different hybrid. But, I mean, that one's getting real close to poking through. And it's probably, I mean, when it's warm like that, it's probably got another 10 to 15 growing degree days, heat units. So it should be a little bit farther along, but that's just what one day of planting date difference makes. All right, another cornfield. Ignore the NK soybeans flag. It's what I got. This is one of the last planted fields. So this was done the last day that we were planting. I believe it was last Thursday, which would be a week ago today. The 29th, maybe? Something like that. So we're going to dig here a little bit, but this is where we're doing my Ag Explorer product trial. We dumped that stuff in the tank when we were sitting on the ends right there, so we had some extra stuff in our starter. It goes from here, I think 7 planter passes over. There was 3 off to the side over there, and we had 3 over here. Yeah, so we're gonna flag that. That's what I put the 1 flag in for. That way, because we're gonna do a lot more to this stuff. We're gonna spray it several times with some foliar products, some sugars, some the fungicides will go on everything, so that's not different. But it's gonna get more than just a little bit of a difference in the starter. So we need to know where that is. But I'm also curious how much farther behind this corn is than the stuff that we have been looking at. Again, we're in wheat stubble here that had chicken litter put on it. So pretty similar conditions, just 2 weeks planting date difference to that first field that we were in. Right there is a seed, I believe. I saw green. Maybe not. There's another worm. When you're digging like this, I always try and dig to the sides to loosen everything up so that I don't accidentally damage the seedling. At least that's my idea. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, right there it is. Now this has had no heat on it. Like, we have gotten almost 0 growing degree days on this corn since it was planted. And it shows it. Like, it hasn't done anything. Just a tiny, tiny little root started out there right on the tip of it. But not much happening. Exactly what I expected to see. I dug up a couple more. That one's got just a touch farther along. Not much. You will note this seed is pink. Most of them are green. I haven't talked about that yet, but I have gotten a couple of questions as to why our seed is different colors. This seed is traded, meaning that it has insect resistance. Let's see, 11V. This is above ground only, so this would be resistant to corn borer. Might have a Viptera trait in it. But when we have insect-resistant corn, you have to plant refuge corn. The pink ones represent 5% of the seed, and they are the refuge seed. So they are not resistant to the insects. It gives the insects a non-resistant host to feed on, so that it helps prevent resistance to the trait, so that the bugs don't get immune to it, kind of thing. So one other thing that you will note, you can't see it down in the soil very well, but you can see that the seed, it's not as green as it was when we put it in there. That green is the seed treatment, and it is water soluble. And so what we're seeing here is, with all the moisture in the soil, it is starting to absorb into the water right around that seed. And that is a good thing, because it is a systemic insecticide in there, and that allows it, as soon as those roots come up, it's going to take that insecticide in with the water into the roots and absorb into the seed, which protects it so that the bugs can't come in and eat those roots or the shoot or the seed or anything else. And yeah, so that's yeah, lesson for the day, I guess. All right, well, I came back to the farm here and killed some time, and I got a notification yesterday that a package that I had ordered had been delivered. I could not find it for the life of me, and then Dad was back, and I was talking to him. We got a fuel delivery today, so he was out by the fuel tanks looking at stuff, and I happened to look in our John Deere parts shed, and sure enough, UPS is putting packages in the delivery shed out there. Mom had a couple out there too. I have no idea how long they've been there, but anyway, we found them. So got that. The plan for tomorrow, Dad and I are going to go to Berkey and try and spray wheat. We've got to do the herbicide on the wheat, and we're going to try and do that tomorrow. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. We also need to spray the herbicide on the beans down there, and I'm sure that it's too wet and muddy, but that has to happen before the beans come up. it's going to get warm. The beans are going to grow, and there's more rain coming on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it sounds like. So I don't know if we'll be able to spray them tomorrow. I doubt. Maybe on Saturday. I don't know. It needs to happen, though. And so we'll see. We'll see what the stuff looks like down there. But we got some spraying to do. I'm sure we can do the wheat, so we're going to do that. Anyway, the boys have t-ball practice tonight. Practice. Not a game. Practice. And I noticed that I have... a whole bunch of grass seeds in my pockets, so I'm spreading it in my grass. Anyway, so the boys have t-ball tonight, so I'm gonna go take them to that and whatever. But I need my chairs, so we're gonna find my chairs in here. And, yeah. Have a great night, everybody. Like, subscribe, questions, comments, all that good stuff. What's up, bud? One of them's out here, needs help. Tell everybody bye.
Bye.